You are listening to the Fresh Take Network.
You're listening to Fresh Take.
What it is, what it do. Welcome to Fresh Take. Joshua Adam, William Arlington with the Talent Sex Videos, Devan here, Devan Seal, and from SIF, the movie expert extraordinaire, Adam Diesel Power.
Yo, what's up, dudes?
It's one of my favorite, if not my favorite pod of the year in review pod. It's our audience's favorite pod of the year.
Oh, good.
It better be. It's the one that you listen to every year.
Yeah. So it's been a great year here at FTN with the rundown, doing everything. We'd love to have Adam more, but Adam's been really busy. You were telling us on your letterbox you reached almost what you think is a record this year for movies watched.
Yeah, I was like, I'm at over 400 movies watched this year. Lots of new ones, lots of old ones, but that's pretty heavy. And I don't even really log the short films I watch.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I watched over 1,000 short films for the festival this year.
Amazing. So Adam's been to a bunch of festivals this year. Devan and I have, you didn't even go to you didn't go to Comic Expo this year. Adam did. You didn't.
Mm-hmm.
So
I missed it.
Did you go to SIF?
I didn't go to SIF, but I have a
Neither
SIF.
You went to SIF. Boo.
Neither one, but I do have a SIF moment.
Okay. We'll get there.
SIF moments, yes. We start off with Best New Show, and Dev, I'm going to give you the start for Best New Show.
This is probably going to come up a few times, especially after the recent reclassification of it. Josh,
I think you and I are simpatico.
Shogun.
Yeah.
And it's funny because I think we oftentimes as a media consuming group forget about the January, February, March after Christmas glut. But to rethink, and then I haven't rewatched it, but to rethink about our year, like Shogun reached the same level of like Succession did for me. I was very happy with it overall.
Mad Men, as far as downloads for us, as far as we went week to week and breaking down Shogun, it had some of the best storytelling this year. And like you said too, as far as the year-end awards and the different qualification that it made for me to be the putt where limited series, for example, was going to be a little more tougher. It made it a lot easier now that it just qualifies as not a limited series now.
Well, it's one of those examples of like, it's kind of like in the Emmys where it's like, oh, is the Bear a comedy or a drama? And then it's been stepping on the toes of this one or that one. I mean, Shogun becoming a regular show opened the door for another very popular kind of limited series that I think we'll talk about.
Yeah. Adam, what's your best new show?
I didn't like Shogun. I still haven't finished it. I think
that's why.
I'm the hater here, I guess. I just can't. It's just there's just too much just talking about nothing, planning and
that's the point, yeah.
But it's so like Game of Thrones. Like it's just all those shows are the same.
Yeah, it is.
And they don't interest me. So I'm not gonna put Shogun here. This might come as a surprise if you know my tastes in things. But I didn't watch a ton of new TV series this year. But I like The Penguin.
Wow.
I liked it a lot, actually.
No way.
I was very
surprised.
I begrudgingly threw it on to give it a shot, but I was kind of enthralled with it because it doesn't the DC stuff isn't too heavy. It really is just Sopranos.
Yeah, this is Sopranos, more or less. We Devan and I said that in the rundown a copious amount of times of the great thing about The Penguin is you can tell your partner, parents, whoever, watch this. Don't worry about it being a bit associated with Batman. You don't even need to worry about Batman. Just watch it as far as like a mafia level show.
Yeah, you don't even need to know anything. I mean, it's got two rival Italian-American mob families. It's got a mother with dementia that he's trying to help. It's got some guy named Carmine. Mm-hmm. It's Sopranos. And if James Gandolfini was alive, they wouldn't have had to do all the makeup.
It's a good point. Yeah, those are the two best new shows, no doubt. Breakout actor. A lot of good candidates this year for me. It's Aaron Pierre from Rebel Ridge. He's gonna be. I think this guy's about to blow up. He's gonna be in Lanterns in a few years. I think he's one of the next big stars in Hollywood, and I think Rebel Ridge was the big start for him too. Did a good job of being a really kind of an unknown in that. Really carried the movie in a movie that has Don Johnson and other known people in it, and carried that movie. Did a great job carrying that movie, and now he's going to be Green Lantern and have a lot of success with other projects going forward.
That movie kills. That movie's amazing.
Yeah.
Rebel Ridge is awesome. That's a good pick.
Where are you going, Adam?
I have a couple up there that are like kind of bigger names. But I'm gonna go with someone who's like maybe not gonna be an actor forever, but maybe. But I'm gonna pull up Connor O'Malley.
Okay.
I know he's been around for a little while, but he kind of got a bit of a boost this year. He was in I Saw the TV Glow. He's in that new, I haven't seen it yet, but they played at TIFF, that Paul Rudd, Tim Robinson.
I've heard good things about that.
And he was in this movie he made called Rap World, which is like insane. If you haven't seen it, it's on YouTube. But I think he's such a talented guy. He's still pretty young. He's kind of in that part of his career where he's really pushing. And I think he could be doing some really cool stuff in the future.
What about you, Dev?
I'm going with Brian Jordan Alvarez from the breakout show English Teacher. Now, I know he's been around in various circles a little bit, but I think that this is his, next step into being.
That's kind of the point, right? It's actors, whether they could be new or they could be kind of what, Adam was talking about with Connor O'Malley. Aaron Pierre's been around for a while too, but finally finding that role that hits to another level. Yeah,
I think they're going to be. This is going to sound kind of weird, but because they're so authentically themselves, I think they're kind of like Neil Patrick Harris 2.0. Starting off with a sitcom, but this one's obvious. This one's like geared around him. It's geared around him being gay in real life, as is in his show, but also it's not the focal point, which I think we've definitely gone away from the last 20 years since How I Met Your Mother came around.
Yeah, absolutely.
He was
great choices.
He was in Megan.
Oh, nice.
Did you see that, Dev?
No,
I haven't either.
Oh, the doll, the killer doll one.
No, I know of it. I just haven't seen it. That's why he's a breakout to me. I only know him from this show, really.
Yeah, he wasn't that. He didn't have a huge role in that movie either, and that wasn't a movie.
Breakout actress, Adam.
Oh, this one's so hard. There's a few on here. Can I name a couple?
Yeah,
but I'm gonna go with one. But Kaylee Spaney had a huge year. And I think she's gonna be big after Alien and Civil War. Margaret Qualley had a crazy year too, 3 monster movies, and she's kind of been a thing. But this year was
this was her year, yeah.
But it's Mikey Madison for sure.
I thought so.
It's Mikey Madison. She the only thing I'd ever really seen her in was Better Things, that Pamela Adlon show, and she was really good in it. And
you've seen her in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Yeah, a little bit part there. And Scream, obviously.
Yeah.
Scream 5, 6, 5.
Yeah, 5, I think.
But yeah, this is really it. I think when it comes Oscar time, people will be taught if she gets the Oscar, it'll write her ticket to do whatever the heck she wants.
She's the favorite right now.
Yeah.
Dev, where are you going?
Just going. I mean, you're going to see a lot of themes in my list. So, breakout actress is Anna Sawai.
Yeah, she's kind of can do whatever she wants now.
Yeah, absolutely. I Adam, to your point, I totally thought you would go with Mikey Madsen, although Kaylee Spaney is such a good choice. 2 really great theater movies. I mean, the quality of the movie may be questionable or debatable, but just to see her in both of those in 1 year is pretty cool.
They're both great films, I think.
Oh, yeah. You guys picked my my two runners up. Margaret Qualley was on there as well. Adam went with the favorite for best lead actress. I'm going with the current favorite for best supporting actress, and I'm going with Ariana Grande, who between what we saw first of an SNL, you knew that there was a different level that we didn't know that she had, and then what she brought out in Wicked was a different level as far as comedy. Obviously, the singing's there, but her acting ability, I didn't know that she had that in her. I wasn't familiar with her game, and she was absolutely phenomenal as an actress. And the one thing you've heard from a lot of people that come out of Wicked is obviously, you know, Cynthia Erivo did a great job in Wicked. But the one thing I keep on hearing from people that I talk to when they see Wicked is they keep on talking about the standout that Ariana Grande brought. And we'll see, you know, what happens as far as Golden Globes coming up and Oscars coming up right now. Vegas has Mikey Madison as the odds for the lead for actress and her for supporting. I, you know, if I would have seen Honora, maybe Mikey Madison would have taken it to that next level. So I'm really glad that she's doing stuff because I liked her once upon a time, but Ariana Grande really hit it to another level in Wicked.
Adam, have you seen it yet?
I haven't seen Wicked yet. I think my wife is going to drag me against my wishes, but I'm open-minded.
I was going to ask. That was my next question.
I wasn't like clamoring to see it, but with all the praise it's getting, and I try to watch, like if it gets nominated for Best Picture, like I'll give it a shot probably.
And like I said too, I think part of this is too what she was able. She had a Hall of Fame level SNL performance this year. It was one of the best SNLs that we've seen. Best cinema experience. Who else better to go to for this than Adam?
Me. Oh man, I had so many here. Too many. I saw Megalopolis twice in cinema.
Back to the club.
Like within a couple weeks, which was pretty amazing. It sucked. It was actually really good in cinema, but seeing Roadhouse at the premiere with like Jake Gyllenhaal there and everyone. One cinema experience that was funny is Y2K. I was in the cinema to see it, but my friends didn't get in, so I had to decide if I should leave or stay. And so I ended up leaving as all the actors came in. So I was just like walking out, and I did end up seeing it now. But best cinema experience is going to the Globe Cinema on opening night and seeing Terrifier 3 with a packed house of equally deranged people losing their mind. As good as going to see Terrifier 2 in a packed house. Like,
was Terrifier 3, is the audience like, are you encouraged to make noises and stuff, or is this like a silent theater going experience?
No, it's pretty vocal. It's pretty like lots of groans and lots of like yeah, lots of sounds, I guess, and laughs and like not screams, but like, you know what I mean, like really gross out type things.
Yeah, it didn't bother you that people were making noise.
No, it's that kind of movie, and like the like talking and stuff is just filler. Like nobody cares. You're just waiting for like a moment when Art is gonna do something crazy, and then you're gonna go like, oh, and the whole audience does that, and that's amazing. So much fun.
Sweet. I unfortunately only got to go to the theater 2 or 3 times this year, just with a busy schedule with my job. But I did get to go, and I'm sure this is not going to be Adam's favorite answer, but getting to see Deadpool on day one, just being the comic nerd that I am, and getting to see the reaction for the cameos. That's really what this movie was made for. Was for that initial reaction. When you watch it back, it's kind of like watching No Way Home, where it's awkward for the pauses and everything like that. In theater, when you get to see Wolverine put the cowl on, or you get to see all the cameos come through, that's when that movie really hits at its peak, and it's fun to enjoy it in that moment with the crowd, and that's kind of what a cinema experience should be about. And an honorable mention to getting to see Defying Gravity at the end of Wicked, and getting to hear that and see that in the cinema was awesome. There's almost an honorable mention of movies that, unfortunately, because I didn't get to go to the cinema this year and wish I did, like Alien was one that I'm mad that I didn't get to see, or Furiosa, or Dune. There's almost an honorable mention of movies that I'm mad because of my schedule that I didn't get a chance to go see them in the theater, and felt like, as fun as it was to watch it on my TV at home, that I did feel like I robbed myself of that experience in the cinema as well.
I love it.
Dev?
Okay, this is kind like I'm having a difficult decision between best cinema experience and biggest movie moment. I think because they're kind of interchangeable for me. Um, but I'll make a decision here. And my best cinema experience was going to the 20th anniversary showing of the Daft Punk movie Interstellar 5555.
Nice.
With a little bit of bonus material afterwards, which was some rare Daft Punk music videos. But just seeing, because the whole movie, I don't know if you know this, Josh, but the whole movie is just, it's an animated movie to the tune of the whole album.
Nice.
There's no pauses, there's no breaks, but every single song is essentially a big scene in the movie.
Love it.
Yeah, so you're looking at like kind of 10 or 12 set pieces of a movie that kind of all stitched together to make a coherent storyline. So just being around for that, and just like the album itself, like, because it has, you know, things like One More Time and Harder, Better, Faster, Stronger on it. Like I turned to my cousin and one of my friends who I went with, and it was like, it's so weird to hear Harder, Better, Faster, Stronger unironically or not attached to Kanye West, that you actually forgot how groundbreaking of a song it was.
Mm-hmm.
Which is like it really kind of had like a full circle moment around with it, where because I hadn't listened to it on its own for God knows how many years. Then you're like, oh, wait a second, like this was as good as we thought it was.
Yeah.
So just going through that was a great experience.
Cool. Where did you see it? Where did they show it?
So they originally it was only marketed as a one night event. So I went to like the big Cineplex Odeon in the south of Edmonton, but then it, due to popular demand, I guess it had expanded to a couple of showings over the weekend in various smaller cinemas. So I wish I would have got to go to one of the smaller ones, but just went to the Cineplex.
Cool.
Nice. Best local, best SIF moment. Devan, I'm assuming you're going to skip on this one.
I'm waiting to hear Adam's answer, and then
best moment is just not going, right?
No, I really cherish my time going. When I did get to go, like I really made use of it. I got to expand my horizons a lot, and I was really like proud to be associated with it. I just couldn't make it work this year, but I hope to be a part of it in the future.
Yeah, same with me. Unfortunately, this year, just with other priorities, as my other job is taking up a lot of time, I couldn't make it this year. But I will say my favorite before Adam gets into, because his will be more. These two moments are more sentimental to me. But for me, for this, it was for our buddy Jermaine Cummings to meet Martha Hart, and I know how much that meant for him to meet Martha Hart at the premiere, and Adam as well. But I know how much that meant for our buddy with how much of an Owen Hart fan he is, to go to that Mojibari premiere and for him to get to meet Martha Hart. So I was really happy for him to get to have that moment with Martha and getting to talk to him and know how special that was for him.
Yeah. That was a cool experience. I'll just rope these two things in then, because you brought that up. I'll segue it. My best local moment was that Dark Match movie premiere.
Yeah.
So Dark Match is a wrestling themed horror film shot in Edmonton. Lots of local wrestlers. Chris Jericho is in it. It's pretty awesome. It's pretty fun. It's about an amateur, like indie wrestler group going north to some town because they got a gig, and they get there and the town is like really weird, and it's run by Chris Jericho, and he's kind of a cult leader, and they don't know why they're there, but they're putting on this match. Anyways, it's great. And we did a premiere of it at SIF, and all the cast and crew came. Chris Jericho came into town.
Yeah.
That was a blast. Andrew Fung was there. He held the Q&A. So that was my favorite local moment, I think. It was at the Globe Cinema too, so it was like just all the great like indie Calgary, Alberta things.
I was so mad and choked I couldn't be part of that this year.
We didn't know Jericho wasn't coming until like a week before, and then I remember I messaged the wrestling chat and I was like, anybody want to come? Like,
and Morton got to go.
But best SIF moment, this isn't it, but at some point we got a request from the Robert Pattinson Jennifer Lawrence movie. They're like, somebody wants tickets to go see The Apprentice. And we're like, who is it? Like, is somebody gonna come? But nobody ended up coming, so that was disappointing.
On
But
Rad.
the best if moment was probably around the Iranian film, The Seed of the Sacred Fig. I don't know if you know this or heard of this film. It'll probably get nominated for international. But the director of the film is from Iran. Obviously, he was imprisoned after the film was made and about to be released, and he essentially had to escape prison and the country to go to Cannes to premiere it. He's an older filmmaker, not older, but he's been around for a while. So this wasn't his first rodeo making films in Iran, but now he basically can never go back. So it's the film, which I will honestly say I haven't actually seen yet, but it looks amazing, and our audience really loved it. We had 2 screenings of it. They sold out like instantly, and then we got a crazy like email blast. Like all of our inboxes, all of our social media, all of our emails were these like Iranian people from Calgary that were like, "We need more screenings of this movie. More people need to see this movie." It was like a coordinated email blast, like communications blast. And so we tried to reach out to the distributor, who's sometimes tough to work with. But they came through and let us do a 3rd screening, and everybody was super happy. Screening sold super well. So we had like an extra screening last minute to bring in a film for a huge Iranian population that really wanted to see something that was more than just the film. Like it was like a bit of a political movement too.
That's amazing.
That was really cool. Yeah.
That's amazing. So we go to local moment. Dev, do you want to go first on that? Do you have one for local moment?
Man, I work in my living room. Like my local
All right, you can
moment
steal.
is like,
You can steal one of mine then, because I have 3.
you know what? You just tell all 3, and we'll just claim one as mine.
First off, local moment. Shout out to Adam's letterbox, which legit is my favorite thing to do when I'm done a movie, is to see both Sean Fennessy from The Ringer, what he has to say, but then Adam, because it 99% of the time, what I think about the movie, Adam hits it almost identical to what my thoughts were in his letterbox thoughts.
I don't do review. I don't do
Stars
ratings. I just put some thoughts down.
Yeah, and they're very close to what I have to say. And then on the second part, again to do with Adam, just happy for our guy that he got to go to all these festivals this year and continue to have this growth in the love of film that you get to have.
That's cool. Yeah, I got to go to a bunch of festivals, and excited to go to more and bring cool films back to Calgary and show them to
And
audience.
then we get to talk to you about that and get your side of that. And then the other one is, again, I'm just going very personal with these ones. Then our guy, again, Jermaine J.C. Cummings, kind of getting a little bit of the acting bug and getting, I don't know if I can say what movies that he's been a part of, so I guess I'll keep that quiet. But that he's been able to do some commercials and do some movies. And we all knew that he had the ability to be at that level, but getting to talk to him and chop it up with him about that and get to see his excitement for it. Not really a surprise that he's in that genre now, but it's really cool that he's taken that leap to that next level.
Yeah, you always want to see your friend succeed, and he definitely deserves all the success that he will have now and in the future.
Can't wait to have him for Breakout Actor of the Year.
Breakout Actor of the Year.
Yeah.
Background.
He's done
guy.
multiple projects.
Audience
He's ineligible now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Biggest movie moment, Devan.
Okay. Both of you, you've seen Dune, right?
Yes.
What's that? Never heard of it.
Yeah. Okay. Just checking. When they go to Giedi Prime, which is the Harkonnen homeworld, and it's all black and white because of the black sun. And I don't think I've ever seen anything quite like it and expressed that way in a visual medium. And I don't know if it's accurate to the book or if it's just a artistic direction. But it was just such a creative scientific, like astronomical event that they just chose to portray really cool. And it just really stood, like, of the whole movie, that's the scene that really left the mark on me. It was just how it looked and how it was shot and framed.
Yeah, me too. That scene is the scene I think about the most. It's like one of the best villain introductions, I think.
Is that your pick as well, Adam?
No, I have a different one. but I really like that.
Nice. Where are you going?
This is something I saw recently. I don't think either of you have seen this movie. And it was a movie that I did not give a shit about. And I was like, why would I care about this movie? Why would I want to go see this movie? And then I was like, all right, I'll go see it. I brought my mom with me. And it's Conclave. And it is very good. But the Conclave reveal, like the twist kind of, is like wild and so good. Like,
I'm supposed to watch that this week.
it's so good. It kind of like changes everything you saw. It like happens at the very end of the movie, and it changes your thought about everything you just saw in the movie. And then after, you just want to talk to people about what happened in it and what like it means. So something like that is always really fun. I was kind of very impressed by that film.
It's starting to get a lot of buzz too.
Yeah, I don't know if it'll get anything, but it's really good, and it's way better than a movie about finding the next pope has any right to be.
Well, even like even like the Two Popes film, like a couple of years ago, like even that really stood on its own too. There's something really interesting about lifting the veil of like religious secrecy, I suppose, and of course, like who doesn't like Ralph Fiennes? I
mean, this is like, if you read my Letterboxd review, it says it's 12 Angry Men meets Bodies.
Yeah.
It's a courtroom like jury drama of all these guys trying to vote for the next pope, and they have to come to a consensus. But there's also an aspect of gossip and rumor that it's just these archbishops and like papal wannabes just like backstabbing everyone and like whispering in people's ears. Like, it's just so silly and insane that it's so fun. It's so good.
Awesome. I went with the crescendo of Wicked with Defying Gravity. I won't say too much more because neither one of you guys have seen it, but you had heard so much from the play about how impactful this song was, and then getting to see it in the movie as the crescendo lived up to the hype that I had heard about it from the play, but I won't get too much more into it. Gaming moment, Devan.
This one's so tough because I actually don't think I bought any games from 2024 this year.
There wasn't that like Last of Us, like kind of, Abby faces. What was the big monster called again?
Oh, the Rat King.
The Rat King. Like there wasn't like a Rat King type of level thing in here.
Well, there may have been an in games like Final Fantasy VII Part 1.
I know, but games we didn't play ones this year.
Yeah, right. And like I watched a Let's Play of like the Star Wars Jedi game, and I think that's kind of what I've been doing with a lot of these AAA things is just going on YouTube. Like I'm tangentially interested in Indiana Jones, but not from a playing aspect. Like I'd really just want to see like Video Game Donkey play 8 hours of it and beat it, just as commentary. I mean, I've played Balatro on my phone, which is a part of Apple Arcade, which came out this year, which was nominated for Game of the Year. So I guess by default, it's probably that. But everything else was just kind of older retro games that I'd pick up on sale for $4 or $5 and kind of get a couple weeks out of. There's a lot of gaming news and gaming things that I'm interested in talking about, but a lot of it has to do with like the business as a whole, or even just games failing, which would then just become part of our worst of list. So I think I'll have a lot to talk about in the worst of, but not a lot to talk about in the best of.
Mine was just finally winning the national championship in college football. There was as people that know that follow me, I put all our friends into it at different positions and whatnot. Adam was one hell of a kicker.
I'm pretty good.
Kicker or punter?
He's both. He's doing both.
I do it all.
But like we lost in the first year to Michigan. And then the second year, made it the next year, lost to Michigan. And then all our players are going to jump to the NFL draft. So it came down to a tight game, winning 31-28 at the end, thanks to an Adam kick, to win the national championship. And it, building it up made it that moment even much more special at that point, because we had gone through the hardships and we were able to find our way to a national championship finally.
Is the game everything you were hoping it was going to be?
Yeah, it was.
Like
I think it was EA had for a long time soccer had been the and look, FC won sports game of the year, but I think it really took another level for football to actually be taken a little more seriously with EA this year, and it did a really good job on that side of things. Not my game of the year though, but really fun. Adam,
My gaming moment of the year. I'm with Dev. I didn't play very many new games this year. But gaming moment of the. I do have a best game of the year. But gaming moment of the year is the new Desert Festival in Stardew Valley update that he finally put out. I've been playing Stardew Valley for forever, and as long as this guy keeps putting out updates, me and my wife are going to be playing Stardew Valley. So
IGN gave it a 10 out of 10 for the revival.
Yeah, they put a lot into it. It's such a I've now bought. I bought it on PlayStation for this round. I had it on Switch, and then I bought it on PC because I wanted to play multiplayer because they didn't have it on console yet. Then they brought it to console. Then I got it on my phone because of Apple Arcade or something.
Yeah.
And then we wanted to play it again, so we got it on PlayStation to play. Because I don't like the Switch controls. They kind of they stutter a bit. They kind of freak out. But yeah, so we're doing a farm right now. I love this new Desert Festival, this new update. It's like a whole new game. It's crazy.
Amazing. And my sister has been glued to her iPad with it.
Yeah, it's fun.
TV moments of the year. I went with Shogun. It's going to be a spoiler, Adam. Do you care?
No. Okay. What episode? I'm on episode 8.
This is episode 8. It's the raid. On the when they're protecting Anna Sawai's character, and everything kind of goes to shit, and there's the betrayal, and the raid happens, and it was just really good, jaw-dropping television when you're watching it.
They did a great job of building up the tension.
Yeah. What are you going with, Dev?
Man, okay. Well, I'm not going to. Adam, have you seen all of The Penguin?
Yep.
Okay, perfect. It's the last episode. It's when he kills the kid.
Kills Vic? Yeah, that's a good one too.
You know what? I was expecting a lot from him as a person on this show. He basically delivered every single time he opened his mouth. And then for that to happen was I actually I'm a person who's really interested in creative choices and stuff like that, and kind of subverting expectations, especially in popular media, because every single television thing or movie thing in popular media kind of tells us that he has to let him live, and they're going to be a pair, and he's going to get worked into the movie somehow or die off screen or something like that. But for that to happen was just a real jaw drop. It was one of the few times I've been really surprised in TV, from a genuine level. Didn't see it coming.
Yeah, that's a really good moment.
My wife screamed when that happened.
Yeah, I don't blame her.
It's it sets it up at the beginning, you don't know if he's gonna live very long, right? He's kind of probably on the outs, and then by the end you're like, okay, he's in it. He's gonna drag this out, he's gonna hold through, and then it's just cut short.
Yeah.
Yeah, mine was when the penguin says gabagool. No, he doesn't. Does he? I don't think he does. No, my TV moment. I'm saying it's a technicality 2024. It's a show that's 2023, but the finale was in 2024, and it's the Curse final episode.
He brought it back. I love it.
Insane. You could have watched the first 9. I think it was 10 episodes or 8, whatever. You could watch the first however many episodes and been given 1,000 guesses to guess what happens in the final episode, and you would have never guessed it. And it's wild and existential and weird and crazy. I loved it.
Do we know what his next project is?
Yeah.
Nathan Fielder?
Yeah, he's doing what that show again.
Rehearsal season 2.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
He's doing something else. I can't remember. And the Safdie Bros have split, so they're doing different things now.
Yeah. Oh, we had to work a Safdie reference into each podcast. So there it is.
I think there's more. probably. So we're good.
Best live TV moment. I could go with wrestling on this and go with Bronson Reed jumping into a car on Bronson Strowman, which was phenomenal. But my favorite live TV moment was the hurricane, which was terrible. I want to make that clear. The hurricane was terrible, but Anderson Cooper covering this hurricane on CNN, who should not have been out there with like the level of reporter that he is, but he's out in the middle of this hurricane, losing his hat, had to change jacket. It was just, I watched this for like 5 straight hours of just him having to change where he is, winds blowing in his hair, rains all over the place, losing multiple hats, and just the dedication to the story of getting the hurricane. For a reporter of his level to be out in the middle doing storm reporting was really impressive to me. And like, for as far as a live TV moment, was one I'm never going to forget.
Dang, that's impressive.
Where are you going, Dev?
I'm begrudgingly going to mention this because I don't think it deserves more spotlight than it needs to. But I'll be contradictory. Is it not Ray Gun at the Olympics?
That's one as well. Yeah.
Yeah. And I actually like feel like pretty bad for her, like on behalf of society, but I think it needs to be said at least once.
It's been mentioned plenty of times in the sports in review. Ray Gun was mentioned as well.
That was what I wrote down, but as we were on the last category, I thought of a different one.
Okay.
So I'm going in a different avenue.
Please.
Mine is also CNN based. And it's when Diddy got arrested right away, and they brought Cameron on to interview.
That's right.
And the Cameron interview is amazing.
Yeah.
He's just like, they ask him like a question and he kind of answers. Then they ask him about Diddy and he's like, why am I here? Like, why did you bring me here? Like, I barely know this guy. and then he's like yelling off camera. He's like, what's with my agent? Like, why would they book me this interview? Like, who asked me to come and talk about this? And he just starts talking about how he's gonna like bang some girls after the show, after the interview, and like all this stuff. It's like insane. You should go check it out if you haven't seen it. But it's so fun.
I have not seen this. I don't think I've watched live
TV was great.
at all this year.
I didn't see it live, obviously, but it
was great.
Live TV.
That was peak.
I mean, second, like honorable mention to like they're eating the cats, they're eating the dogs, but that's a different thing.
Yeah. Retrofine, Devin.
Oh, this is where I'm in my element. Can we just do like 10 categories of like old shit that you found?
Yeah.
I was going through Tubi one night as you know at like 11:30 or 12 o'clock after I was done my other job, and I stumbled across this great series of Yakuza movies called Battles Without Honor and Humanity from the 70s, and they are essentially The Departed, but times 150. Like there's just people who showed up with eye patches for some reason, and like there's just all these mob hits, and they're really complicated, intricate. It's great. Everything I've ever wanted.
That's amazing. That's what this is about. Stuff like that. What about you, Adam?
Well, I did check off a bucket list item. It wasn't really a find, but Eric Romer, the like French new wave guy from the 80s, 90s, I got to see one of his films in cinema, which was amazing. But I'm gonna go down the Tubi lane like Dev here, because I do the same thing, late night Tubi random watches. And I'd seen it before, but I hadn't seen it for a while, and I watched Head of State with Chris Rock.
Nice.
It's actually amazing. As bad as it's supposed to be, it basically predicted both the Obama election and the Trump election at the same time. Bernie Mac is like JD Vance coded, because at the end, when he's the vice president, and he tells Chris Rock that you're basically assassination proof because nobody wants me to be president. It's like that's why JD Vance is there. Is hilarious. And then it does like it's done in other movies, but like Something About Mary, where you have like the band play in between scenes, and it's Nate Dogg.
Yeah,
it's so good. Like that movie. Yeah, I just hadn't seen it in a long time. It was great.
There was a few on here. I went with the game on this, but shouts to a few Tom Cruise movies that I hadn't seen. Risky Business and Cocktail. Hadn't seen either one of them. Got to see them, but I got to play Luigi's Mansion this year for the first time ever, and just what a game! What a series! Sometimes very frustrating, but sometimes very. If we did games this year, it would be a lot more of coming back and finding games that I did this year because I played a lot of older games than newer games this year, and Luigi's Mansion was just phenomenal to play.
Oh
I
yeah,
only
it's
played
so
the
great.
third one, the new one.
Sorry, Adam.
I only played the new one.
Which one? 3?
I think it's 3, right? The Switch one.
Yeah, that's the one I played.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the one I played. Best YouTube channel, Adam.
I don't know if he had this channel rolling last year, but he might have. But he's really kicking it in. But I think Adam Conover has a really great YouTube channel.
Yeah, he does.
He's kind of taken Adam Ruins Everything because it got canceled or whatever, and switched it into a little more short stints and like more
He
focused.
did an animation one that's really good.
Mhm.
One about the rights for animation and everything like that. It was really well done.
Yeah, he did one on Ticketmaster this year. He did one on CEOs being the worst, even when they pretend to be the best. Like he did one on the Patagonia guy when he gave up his company, and he was like, "This actually isn't that good of a thing." And he had a pretty good thing on that. So yeah, Adam Conover is pretty great.
That's a great pick. He has a lot of good stuff on there. Dev?
Yeah, I'm going with actually the first person I'm contributing to on Patreon. It's a creator out of Canada. His name is Japanalysis, and what he does is he takes I guess we'll call them like local interest news stories from Japan, but then he'll like deep dive them. He'll put like 60, 100 hours of research into like all the background of them. And what I mean by like local interest is like a really eccentric local politician who was taking advantage of the system to try to get elected by buying up billboard space, which all the candidates are entitled to, having other people run under his platform, and then he would shrink their image and their face down and their name down, and then most of the poster would be like his face, so that he would basically be plastered over all this candidate board. So just little interesting things like that that we wouldn't normally hear from like a Western perspective.
That's really, really rad.
I was looking that up while you talked. It looks pretty sweet.
Oh yeah, he does like meme reviews that are like popular on like Japanese message boards that people who live there would know about, and I just think he does a really good job with it.
I went with Screen Crush. They do a really phenomenal job after you have your Marvel or your DC or your Star Wars shows or Dune that end, and then they break down everything, all the little Easter eggs, all the stuff in the comics or bigger lore that you don't know, and they go in these extensive 20-30 minute deep dives of stuff. And for me, like I've got back into reading comics this year, but I can't read everything. And some of the discussions they have on certain characters or predictions where they think Marvel is going to go, or deep dives in certain comics as well. They do a really excellent job on it, and it's really added a horizon as I've gotten back into comics to get a little more in depth on some of those characters, and as well as in the Star Wars lore side of things, because there's so much in the larger canon of Star Wars that I'm still trying to catch up on with, whether it be some of the novelization or the comics. And so they've done a really good job of explaining all of that.
Love it.
Best podcast, Devan.
I actually might have to skip this one. And it's like I was looking through my podcast feed on Apple, and I don't think I've actually subscribed to anything new.
Just pick something old.
Well, no, I mean, like I'm not going to say Conan again for like the third
Do
year
it.
in a row.
Do it.
No, because I don't actually listen to Conan. Like I only listen to Conan when it's people that I know. It might be the current season of Against the Rules by Michael Lewis, who's the guy who wrote Big Short and
there you go.
Whatever. But he's doing a whole season on the algorithms of like sports gambling through like FanDuel and stuff like that, and all the nuances
cool.
that the websites go through. Because there's people who are really successful gamblers who are betting tens of thousands of dollars, and because they're doing pretty well, the companies just randomly throttle them, preventing them from gambling, and then they have to go through like friends and family to create fake accounts so that they can gamble through them. It's really interesting.
Wow, interesting. I went with Busted Open. It's a wrestling podcast. It's a 3-hour show normally on Sirius, but then they put down a podcast side and has legendary wrestlers like Mark Henry, Tommy Dreamer, and Bully Ray on there. And then they kind of break down the happenings of what's going on in wrestling. And they have a lot of good pods and a lot of good guests to talk about what's going on in the current wrestling landscape as well. Not as intellectual as Devan's, but
I think in the last like year or two, Busted Open has become kind of like the go-to for wrestling, like discussion and information. Really, like it's kind of jumped over Wrestling Observer and like a few of these other ones. I think it's kind of taken top position.
Yeah, I'd always known it was there, but this year was the first year I really listened to it, and it's nice because you have a lot of these journalists, like a Dave Meltzer or John Pollock or Sean Ross Sapp, and it's cool to hear their perspective and being insiders of the industry. But at the end of the day, it's nice to hear a perspective from someone like Bully Ray or Tommy or Mark, who have been in the industry and understand the industry a lot more. So that side of things is a lot more interesting because they have the idea of this industry and how it works a lot more than, say, a Dave Meltzer would.
It's not like just some idiots like us talking about what we saw.
No. Yeah. That's the best part about it. Adam?
I'm not a huge podcast guy. I can't say like a podcast generally, but I'm going to pick a very specific episode of a podcast that I watched this year or listened to. And it is the Club Shay Shay Cat Williams interview.
Amazing.
That's like just in 2024. I think that was like January 2nd or something that came out. And that
was the most influential podcast of the year.
It really should have shifted the landscape of comedy more than it did.
Yeah,
I think. But it was very crazy in terms of what he kind of exposed, whether it's true or not. But he kind of has the receipts to back everything up. And Cat Williams.
Well, remember at the Oscars, Cena came out and people were saying that was the embarrassment ritual that Cat was talking about.
yeah, you have to, you gotta shave the braids, and then you get to go into the cult. And Ludacris is the guy who did it, and Cat Williams refused.
Yeah,
very funny. Anyways, that was an amazing interview. Loved I watched like the whole 3 hours or whatever right off the bat. Just enthralled the whole time.
That was a great pick. Social media channel. This one was a little more struggle for me, so I just went with the default and I went with Jordan the Stallion because I just like watching his reaction when he eats food and just to throw into the glasses. And it was funny this year doing this stuff, whether it be with Gambino or with Method Man. He had a lot of fun within it this year. So I just went with Jordan the Stallion.
That was good, but he's kind of shifted away from that now. I don't like it.
Yeah.
He just does like, he'll find a weird video on the internet and then he'll just talk about it.
Yeah.
I'm not interested in that.
Yeah.
Everybody does that.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Where are you, Adam?
I'm going to go with one, but I found this guy, the Shirley Temple King. Have you seen this kid?
No.
He's like a 12-year-old kid who just loves Shirley Temples. And he just tries drinks and whatever. And he was actually in the Dear Santa movie.
Oh.
Because of his following on social media. Crazy. Nice. But this year I'm going with Heartthrob Anderson because he stepped up his game this year from the Seventh Heaven discussion videos that he used to do. Do you know Heartthrob Anderson?
No.
He's this guy who he'll talk about old episodes of TV.
Yes, I've seen this.
Movies.
Oh, yeah.
Be like, this is insane. And then he'll just talk about it. And he started out doing like every episode of Seventh Heaven for a while. And then now he's kind of switched over. And the last couple ones, like he did Dangerous Minds recently. He did the new Lindsay Lohan thing. He's just doing all these things. And like every time he's got a video pop up, like I'm excited to watch it.
Yeah, nice. That's a good pick. Dev?
I definitely know who that guy is now that you've
Yeah,
mentioned it.
he's
I'm gonna
great.
give him a follow right now
He's
because
got
I
a
do.
book. He's like turned this into like a career of being a comedian, essentially, right?
Yeah.
Well, he
Through a
like
pop
he
culture lens.
yeah, he kind of like recontextualizes like decisions that they made,
Yeah.
20 years ago in TV and movie, and like, who greenlit this?
Yeah.
Mine is Garen Noon. He's an Irish bloke. He's got the long hair and the beard, but basically he's just kind of he kind of seems like an everyman. He'll just kind of talk about random things, but I don't even know. I don't even know how to describe his channel, to be honest. Like I saw him, like we came across him. I watch my partner's TikTok with her sometimes, like before bed for 5-10 minutes, and then he'll come
Yeah.
on and it's like, oh, that's kind of nice. And then like honestly, just seems like a down to earth guy who like kind of became famous for having an accent, and then just like he has a very like witty sense of humor. So I think, and like of course, like because the Irish just all they do is swear and cuss, and he has a great way of language. Just kind of stood out to me.
Amazing. Trailer of the year. I'll be sure and screen this, the Thunderbolts trailer, because it was a movie that I was like really not sure about. And then it got me like, out of all the Marvel movies that we have next year, I'm by far the most excited about this movie now. They did such a good job. It does what a trailer's supposed to do. It takes a property that you're like, whatever, so about it. And then you see the trailer and you're like, okay, that looks freaking awesome. And that's what Thunderbolts did. Dev?
That's a great call. It's not my choice. I think I may have like or misunderstood the intent of the category, but I went with the Civil War trailer,
That was a good trailer too.
where it was just like, holy shit, like how far are they going to go with this concept, or where are they going to take it? And then it really got you hyped for the movie.
Nice. Adam?
A little off topic, but did you see that other movie that Alex Garland did this year?
No.
The other movie, which one? I saw the one about the Marines with Will Poulter in it. That's coming out next year.
Yeah, Warfare. He like co-directed it with
Yeah.
a guy from that battalion, whatever you call it, whatever that group. But it's all like, I don't know if it's all one take, but it's all like real time. Like there's something interesting going on with that. Anyways, I was going back and forth too, whether it's like the trailer that just like was a really good trailer or a trailer that like hooked me. And I went with like Josh's more Josh's side, where it was like something that I probably wouldn't have cared about. But then I saw the trailer for Trap and I was like, I'm in. Like I don't get like that trailer just like
Trap did a good job of that.
It I think it won a lot of people over.
Yeah.
I think people were kind of not really caring about Shyamalan that much, or not really that interested in his next movie. This one comes out and it like gives you the twist right off the bat in the trailer, and then it's just like, this is a great premise. The movie was pretty good. I'd say it didn't like fully live up, but the trailer was solid. Did what it needed to do.
Adam,
like,
go back.
Oh,
go
sorry.
ahead.
Honestly,
No, go ahead.
In my movie watching, like through my, I don't know if it's like my new critical lens or whatever, I've actually kind of come to this point now where I'll be watching things that I'm not like intimately invested in, like a franchise that I've liked since I was a kid. Like I'm watching something kind of fresh from a brand new set of eyes. And I definitely kind of realized that lots of movies kind of have like a really solid hour-long premise or hour 20-minute premise. And I'm not saying that things should get cut, but like it almost seems like this Trap movie, because I saw that trailer too, and it was like, holy shit, like the premise is so great. And then eventually what happens is watching some of these movies late at night, and you kind of check out, or you lose your sense of immersion in them. And then you're like, well, okay, now I got to recontextualize it. Now I got to get back in somehow. But like in reality, like the middle fourth of the movie is kind of like, it should have the most pull, because you're kind of resolving a lot of things. And so maybe Trapped is a movie where it was like, man, maybe an hour 45 was just too long of an idea. Maybe it just should have been centered around like an hour 15 or an hour and 20, and just kind of cut out, just kind of be more direct with what they're trying to say.
I'm 100% with you. I think most movies need half an hour cut off, pretty much. Like there's some films that would be a great hour-long movie. You don't need that extra. Something like Trap, to talk to your point of like you kind of you get disconnected to it by the end, is like a movie like Trap is like, I want to be in that arena the entire movie. and then once you
Yes.
take me out of the movie, it's over. But then you have another half an hour, maybe longer. It might be 45 minutes after they get out of that arena, and it's like, I don't care. Like at this point, I'm like, okay, we're outside of this element that was really exciting, and now I have to like learn or get invested in this new situation. I'm like, nah.
Yeah.
It's almost when movies are centered around like a very specific period of time, like this whole event happens within 1 hour, 1.5 hours.
Mhm.
So then it's like, why are we going past it? Like, I don't really need to like redig up this person's like weird experience weeks later or months later for a second ending.
Yeah.
Good point. We go to cameo of the year, Adam.
I had a couple written down, but I'm going with the good one. I don't think either of you have seen this movie. Nobody saw Y2K.
No.
I did not love it, and it'll probably show up on my worst of a little bit this year. But the Fred Durst cameo is pretty amazing.
I like the premise of Y2K.
Premise is
I
great.
haven't gotten around to see it
Premise
yet.
is great, but it's just too much member berries, and then it just kind of I don't care about any of the characters. But then the Fred Durst stuff is very funny, and lands pretty well. Fred Durst was also in I Saw the TV Glow this year as well, so he's like he's a force. He's coming back.
Amazing. Dev, where'd you go?
I went with Chris Evans and Deadpool.
Nice. That was a pretty good one.
And I just liked like obviously it was very like subversive for him to be that character, blah 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 blah. But also just I think we don't get enough of asshole Chris Evans.
No.
And that's kind of where like yes, he's definitely Steve Rogers, but I really like he's one of the strongest parts of Knives Out, and then to see it back, that kind of persona back in Deadpool was just a nice little, nice little 5
Well,
minutes.
it's especially the scene too when everyone thinks he's going to say "Avengers Assemble" and then he says "the flame on" was a really nice touch. I also went to Deadpool Wolverine for my cameo, and I went with Gambit.
Yeah, I thought that
Channing
too.
Tatum, just because like. The story, I mean, you and I know this throughout the years of the rundown, is kind of like the Affleck Batman. It's like, it's happening. It's not happening. It's happening.
Yeah.
It's not happening. And all the up and down, the Channing Tatum had to go to be this character, and he wanted to be this character so much. And then, for everyone just to be so happy about him just having this role and for Channing to finally get it. And then obviously he's about to make a name for himself, becoming
For it to be like well liked, yeah.
Yeah, liked, and then having the meme at the end of it, and for him to more than likely be the Gambit going forward when we shift to mutants in the MCU, you couldn't help but be happy for Channing that he finally got to be the role that he had always wanted to be.
I kind of excluded it because he's an integral part of the story, and then the Chris Evans part is just complete bullshit. Like it makes no difference, especially in the end, like when he's just when he actually said the thing.
Crazy.
When he said the thing that Deadpool had said that he had said was my favorite part.
Devan's favorite category: Celebrity of the Year.
Oh, fuck me. Taylor Swift next.
That's what I did as well.
It's not Luigi Mangione.
He's not a celebrity. He's a convicted killer.
What makes you a celebrity? Is Ted Bundy not a celebrity? Yeah. I didn't go with him, but I went with Charlie XCX.
Yeah,
that's a good one. It was Brett Summer.
Big year for Charlie. Hers for a long time, so it's finally cool to see her like get catapulted to that next stratosphere.
She also had a really good SNL.
Yeah, I actually watched some of it. That was the first time I watched SNL in like a decade, probably.
Yeah, she did a great SNL. Best nonfiction TV show, I went with Dark Side of the 90s. Shout out to Senator. Like there was just getting some of the stuff from the sitcoms you got on this and whatnot. The Dark Side series, Adam and I are already familiar with it from the wrestling side of things. But there's been the Dark Side of the 90s, Dark Side of Comedy, and the Dark Side of the 90s, like specifically the Family Matters one episode really stuck out strongly, and I highly suggest it. Dev?
I don't think I watched a single non-fictitious TV show this year, so I'm just gonna say the news,
Cool.
Which news,
Adam.
all of it,
news in particular?
all of it. Rebel
Um,
Media. All right, that's fictitious. Sorry.
This is where I get to talk about the Safdie Bros again.
Yeah.
Alara Pictures, their production company, has been producing a few really interesting documentary series, and they did one this year called Ren Fair, and it's about this really old guy. He's like in his 80s, and he's run this Renaissance fair in Dallas or in Texas, somewhere near Dallas, I think. That's like massive. It makes millions of dollars. And he's at the point in his career, he has no kids, I don't think. And he's kind of like just trying to, he wants to sell it. And he's this eccentric, crazy guy. And he wants to sell it or give it to someone. And there's kind of like 2 or 3 vying people in the corporation. And they're all insane. And so it's basically like, it's like real life Succession. And it's
But with the lower stakes.
maybe similar stakes.
Oh, from a $1 billion media company. I get it. I hear you.
It's like a multi-million dollar. It's like it's like Disney World of Renaissance. It's like crazy. I didn't know these things made money. I didn't know these things like existed to this extent.
And that they haven't been bought out by like the Comic Expo conglomerates.
Yeah, it's just like a dude who just like runs a Renaissance fair. Anyways, it's fantastic. It's called Ren Fair.
I love it. I love it. Next up, best limited series. I think this might be our first sweep. I'm going with the Penguin.
Penguin.
Is that a limited series?
Yes.
I didn't put it just because of that.
Yeah, it's a limited series.
And I haven't even finished this series because my Netflix got cut off before the last episode, but I'm still going to say Baby Reindeer.
Yeah, that's a good one too.
I really liked it. And now that I have Netflix back, I probably should. I feel like I need to watch the second last episode to like recontextualize myself.
It won the Emmy, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. So definitely there. I mean, Dev, anything else to really say on Penguin that we haven't already said?
No, well, it was going to be Shogun until they recategorized. So
yeah. Best animated TV show. This was tough for me because there is an overwhelming best animated TV show, and I had to decide to go with my heart or what I thought was the best. Shouts to Clone High, who had a really good second season and got back to form, only to be canceled again. Sucks. But I had to go with what was the best animated TV show, one of the best TV shows period this year, which was X-Men 97. It just redefined what, Marvel really needs to do in many ways. It was just such a phenomenal TV show. Storylines were great. The episode where Gambit dies is one of the best episodes of TV I've ever seen, and just so emotional. You don't get dialogue like that or emotion like that from many shows. And if we did TV moment, that was up there as well. When Rogue is holding Gambit in her arms and saying she can't feel him anymore. Just absolutely heart-ripping stuff. X-Men delivered on, and then taking literally the story of Wolverine losing his adamantium out of his body. Just, I could go on and on. X-Men 97 was not just nostalgia and member berries. It was great storytelling.
hard to talk that one, but I will.
Yeah.
No, it's probably my number 2 on the list, but it's the big anime of the year, Kaiju number 8. It's really accessible. It's great, heartfelt, uplifting, and then just enough ass kicking to be like, oh yeah, I know why I'm watching this.
That's amazing. Where was that on?
Oh god, did I just stream them? I can't remember. I probably just watched it online through weird means.
Adam, what about you?
I don't watch much animated TV, so this is kind of tough for me, but I did watch some of Arcane, and it was pretty cool.
Nice.
Someone was telling me about it. I watched a little bit. Animation was pretty neat.
We'll come back to you as far as animated, which I know you have a lot on, which is animated movie of the year.
Animated movie. There's a lot of really good ones this year.
Yeah.
And one of them is not Moana 2. I just saw that, and it's
I've heard not good things.
It's subpar.
Well, it was supposed to be a Disney Plus series, so
yeah, pass. but it's gonna make $1 billion. There's a lot of good indie animation this year, actually.
And from the nominations.
Yeah, with some lesser known entities making animated films. The Wallace and Gromit one, as we talked about, Josh, like
Yeah.
won't have seen that yet, unfortunately, but that one could be good. But I went with Memoir of a Snail.
I've heard good things.
We played at SIF. It's come out in theaters now. I think it's going to get nominated. It's just a really great stop motion film that's not for kids. We did have some kids come to see it at the festival, and then parents got pretty mad. Like a pretty like existential, emotional, kind of sad tale of this woman, but it's like beautifully animated. It's a really great story. Yeah, it was just fantastic. I think that Flow is the other one that's going to get nominated probably from Latvia. That looks like
you see a lot of stuff for Flow.
It looks like a PS3 like Unreal Engine. It looks like what was that game where you're like a kid and there's this big like flying dog thing that you follow around? Do you know this game?
Shadow of the Colossus.
No, it's the Last Guardian, but
Last
it's the
Guardian.
same developers. It's Ico.
Yeah.
It's very similar to Last Guardian, where it's like this dystopian world. You don't know what's happened. You don't know why you're there. And it's this cat and this capybara and this lemur and a dog. And they just like have to traverse this land on a boat. And there's no talking. And it looks like PS3 graphics.
Are you sure?
Terrible.
Are you sure this is not the bootleg version of Madagascar?
Yeah, it kind of is. But it's really emotional and really amazing. And it played like every film festival. It won awards at Cannes. And it's got to be a top contender for the award at Oscars.
Dev?
Oh, this one's easy. It's Transformers 1.
That's mine too.
Really recontextualizes the relationship between the main characters. Would be such a great starting off point for any future series, and great introduction. And definitely not a kids movie, or kind of a kids movie.
And we'll get to worst trailer of the year. This is one of the worst trailers of the year because this was marketed so poorly of what this movie actually is. It made it look like this kind of goofy, silly movie, and it was not that. It was the ultimate telling of the Transformers. And for kids that grew up with the Transformers in the 80s, hit that pinnacle in every single way. I've rewatched this movie 3 times.
Holy shit. Yeah, basically every word of mouth review on it is incredibly positive, but just didn't translate to box office success because you're right. I think people were just confused as to what it was.
Yeah. People have been burned by Transformers too many times.
Yeah. Best TV genre. So this could be, horror or sci-fi or adventure or whatever you want to go with. Where'd you go for that?
Well, I picked a show specifically, so I guess I'll just say sci-fi. But the show that I'm referring to, and Josh, you're gonna laugh, is Gundam Requiem for a Vengeance on Netflix. Because baby, I gotta say, I'm still a fan, and I'm still in.
Of course you are. I love it.
Tell us, Josh, about it. Do me a favor. Just watch the first episode. That's all you need to watch. You don't need to know anything about any background of anything. Just watch 20 minutes of the first episode.
Well, I've done so many recommendations from other people, so I haven't done a recommendation from you this year. Well, I took a recommendation from Nick, by the way, on Landman. It's great. Landman's awesome.
Yellowstone 2.0.
Pretty much. For mine, I went right back to X-Men 97. This show is it's one of my top 3 shows of the year. It was everything that I wanted, and I'm mad that we have to wait a whole other year to get it back.
Part of me is really interested with that show because it's like so clearly not meant for kids. It's meant for the people who grew up with X-Men 96, I guess, right?
Yeah.
And it really just makes me wonder why we don't have more franchises catered towards the 25 to 50-year-olds.
Yeah.
Give
us Turtles growing up now. Well, we were going to get that with The Last Ronin.
That's what I mean, though. Like it's taken so long to kind of realize that this mature storytelling of these, like, because if we look at comic, like, so the TV show of these franchises that we watched as kids is very much geared for Saturday morning cartoons and selling action figures and stuff like that. But then you look at a lot of the other extended media of these franchises. We'll go Transformers, Turtles, X-Men, comic books, like, tell really engaging, really creative storytelling, but then never catered towards anybody else other than just like the comic book nerd stereotype of the 90s. And now it's like they're starting to realize, like, holy shit, if we just cater towards these people who have, disposable income, time on their hands, who want mature storytelling, like, they will show up. Like, it's not like the people like us were randomly invented. Like, we've just been waiting for good mature shit for a really long time, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. Adam, where are you going?
I just did the Penguin.
Yeah, I like it. That's probably the right answer, actually.
It's genre for sure. It's a noir. I don't
Not mad. I didn't do it just because I had a limited series, but I did X-Men for both sides, so I don't blame that for that. Comedy. This is where I just went sentimental, and I don't think it's the best comedy show this year. That is Hacks, and it's not even close to me. Hacks was maybe my second favorite show on TV this year, but it's the last year What We Do in the Shadows, so I'm giving it to What We Do in the Shadows because it still did a tremendous job. The finale will air tomorrow as we're recording this, and I'm going to be really sad to see this go away. And I think they've done a finale so excellent this year of kind of telling a story of a farewell to every single character and have a real growth, and how the vampires have propelled themselves into society a lot more, and what the human race has done for them, and vice versa. So it's going to be really sad to see all these characters go out. Hacks is the best comedy this year, but What We Do in the Shadows, I'm going to miss it. So I'm going to give it my comedy of the year. Dev?
Great choice. I went with English Teacher, which was the vehicle for Brian Jordan Alvarez, and a little bit uneven storytelling, but the set pieces that they do hit on, or the episodes they do hit on, they really hit.
Yeah, I've heard really good things about it. It seemed like a big breakout hit this year.
Yeah.
Adam?
We're on comedy.
Yeah.
I'm still 2 seasons behind on What We Do in the Shadows, so unfortunately I can't say that. But I went with this for the same reason. A show that has overstayed its welcome for many seasons now, I think, the last few seasons, but came back. And I'm going to go with Curb.
Yeah, good. And I'm glad Curb got a pick.
Because Curb, season 12, was it?
Yeah.
Was actually worth watching. And that says a lot, I think, because the last couple were not, and I trudged through all of them. But it was, I don't know if it was like a good send-off. It probably should have just ended at the Seinfeld reunion.
Probably.
But it was still probably one of the best comedies of the year.
Yeah, I had no problem with it. I enjoyed it. We go to best drama. I'm picking Shogun. Devin, you picking Shogun as well?
No, I picked The Bear, actually.
Oh, yeah, you put it in its proper. I like it. You put it in its proper category. Respect.
Yeah. I was like, enough of this shit. Like, it's just going in now. And I know that people were really upset with this season, but to go back to my previous point about subverting expectations and just kind of, I think that this season, the people who made it were the most confident in the story that they were trying to tell compared to the other seasons. And they didn't give a shit what anyone said about it. They knew what they were going to achieve with the end result. And I think that they were happy with it. And it was great to watch.
No pun intended, but as this season has marinated, it has sat much better with me, and it is just a masterpiece of television.
Yeah, not everything has to have like a Hollywood ending, whether it be good or bad. It could just be part of people's lives, and sometimes people's lives is monotonous.
Yeah, absolutely. Adam, where are you going for drama?
Yeah, I put The Bear also. I was gonna put it in comedy. But then I realized I had The Curse in drama, and I was kind of like, that's not really a 2024 show. So then I made the last minute swap. But yeah, it was great. This season is great. A lot of people are saying is kind of let down, or like, yeah, like you said, boring, or like kind of mundane, but I liked that aspect of it. Like I liked how it kind of just got to like sit with these characters a bit more. And I know we talked about this in the chat a little bit, but like I think there was still some like really heavy comedic moments.
I almost had Cena as my cameo of the year.
Yeah, I was thinking of him too. But yeah, it was great, and I hope this show keeps going for a few more years.
Well, it's such a poignant thing to have. Like, what happened? Essentially, this season was what happens when you reach success. What does day 2 after you've reached the top look like?
Mhm.
And then, but not only what does day 2 look like, what does day 300 look like? And once you get used to that, other problems in your life become much bigger than they need to be because you're so secure in what's going on. Yeah.
We go to streaming service of the year, Adam.
Tubi. It's Tubi. Every single year. It's always Tubi, and it will forever be Tubi. And Tubi had the opening night Canadian premiere film at the Calgary International Film Festival with The Thicket with Juliette Lewis and what's his name? The guy from Game of Thrones.
The guy, Jamie Lannister, the guy that plays Jamie Lannister?
No, I don't know who he is in Game of Thrones. Is he in Game of Thrones?
Snow?
No. Anyways, doesn't matter. Okay. It was The Thicket. That was the movie. But Tubi is the best streaming service, not because of their original programming necessarily, but just because you can dig for hours and find the craziest shit. And you just throw it on, and then you're watching something insane. I just watched a doubleheader of Jack Frost.
I saw that on your.
I watched the horror one and then the Michael Keaton one back to back. Fantastic.
Dev, what about you?
I think you've convinced me that that's my choice because that's where I spend a majority of my time once you're caught up with contemporary things, and because my circle is so small. But I think it's kind of weird because I think if we lived in the States, the answer would be FX/Hulu.
Yeah.
FX is on just such a heater, but then you got to pair it with Disney Plus, which I'm not as much big of a fan of.
No.
But if it was just Star, I would pick Star.
You can pick Star if you want to.
I know, but it doesn't. It seems weird to have one without the other, so I'm going to say Tubi as well because that's where I got all my Yakuza movies from.
I don't really watch Tubi like you guys do. I know it had a good year, so respect it. I think at one point it was the most watched streamer in North America. So
I think it's
definitely hit that point. Kind of what you guys do with Tubi, Amazon. You can find a lot of good deep dives on Amazon, and it does a really good job of newer releases. That's where I watched Civil War, for example, or Love Lies Bleeding was on there as well. Those movies find their way to Amazon pretty quick. So I went with Amazon. I think they've done a tremendous job of hitting that next level for me. And some decent originals on there as well. Nothing to really write home other than The Boys this year, and Invincible. But for the most part, Amazon I find pretty consistent. It's a streaming service that I have just because I need Amazon Prime, but that I wouldn't want to lose.
The problem with Prime is nothing to do with the content. It's the goddamn user interface. It's the worst out of all of them. It's impossible to search things, and that's why I specifically stay away from Amazon.
Amazon is like the Walmart DVD bin, the $10 bin, where you go and there's some big blockbuster stuff, but then you dig down to the bottom and there's some like really good gems for $10. And then Tubi is like the $1 blank VHS bin at your local video store where you don't know what you're getting and you just like dig in and pull out a tape and it has scribbled writing on it and you just put it in and you're like, this could be amazing. So that's my example of what I think those spinners are.
Adam, documentary of the year.
There were a lot of really good ones, but I went with this one. I don't know. I don't think either of you saw it at SIF, but hopefully you get to see it. And it's Grand Theft Hamlet. It's this documentary about these people trying to put on a staging of Hamlet inside the Grand Theft Auto Online during the pandemic.
Amazing.
I've heard about this.
And it's 100% shot in game, so you never see people. It's all in game. It's hilarious. It's moving. It's like amazing. I've seen it. I think I saw it 3 times this year at different festivals, and it's so good. It's worth checking out.
Amazing. Devin?
Skip. I didn't watch single. I don't usually watch a lot of docs. No, I got a weird thing with documentaries. I don't want to get into it now.
My best documentary, there's a few good ones, but Music Box series, Yacht Rock, unbelievable. Everything I wanted about the history of Yacht Rock, it did it perfectly. Shouts to Bill Simmons and everyone connected with this. This is the ultimate. And Jermaine and I have been going back and forth, and we're gonna do a bootleg and B-sides Yacht Rock pod soon, just because of this documentary. It's phenomenal for people that like Yacht Rock, like myself, like Jermaine and others. This was phenomenal. If you're a Yacht Rock fan,
I knew you were gonna pick it. I knew it.
I hear it's pretty good, actually. Yeah.
It's great. I highly recommend it. Even if you're not a Yacht Rock fan and you've gone years been like wondering what is Yacht Rock and what's not Yacht Rock, and also the influence of funk and blues and all that kind of stuff that it has on it as well is really interesting. So I highly recommend it.
Where does Lil Yachty fit in?
It's a great question.
He's Neo Yacht Rock.
Dev, since you skipped, I'll go to you now. What is your album of the year?
It is the new one by Caribou called Honey.
Okay.
He's a Canadian electronic artist.
Nice.
Not techno, but just kind of like rhythmic and lyrical stuff.
Adam, what about you?
It's Brat Summer.
Brad Summer. Nice.
I listen to that album a lot. Maybe too much.
I like it. I went with a female artist as well. I went with Sabrina Carpenter, Short and Sweet. This album just kind of rocked the summer, and it was phenomenal. There's nothing but bangers on this album. Nothing but bangers. Bangers only.
Is that
and
one of the songs?
Should be. But yeah, it was she had a fantastic year and a fantastic album. Dev, male artist of the year.
Mr. Lamar. Kendrick.
Yeah, it's my male artist of the year as well.
I don't think there's any explanation needed, really.
Did he have an album also, or just the?
An album.
Yeah, that surprise one dropped like 2 weeks ago.
Mm.
But he's probably the most relevant male artist in a year dominated by female pop stars.
Yeah.
Yeah, male musician was harder.
Yeah,
I'm not a huge Kendrick fan.
No?
I've never really gotten into his stuff too much, but I'm also not a Drake fan, so that don't get it twisted. I went with Juicy J this year.
Really?
A couple albums. He had one really good album, and then he went to Andre 3000 and he did like a full-on jazz album where he gets like a backup jazz band to play, and then he like kind of riffs over it. And it was like on the jazz charts. It was like top 10 on the jazz charts.
I love that. That's awesome. I actually re-listened to the Andre album, and I watched his Nardwuar interview kind of within like the last week, and I wholeheartedly support where he's at in his life and the music that he wants to make. Like, it makes total sense that it's just like he's like, I've been rich longer than I was poor. Like, I have nothing else to rap about, really. Like, why would I make a rap album? And I really appreciate that honesty.
Go for it. Juicy Juicy J, Academy Award winner Juicy J
Yeah.
is my artist of the year, male artist.
Who's your female artist of the year? Are you gonna go Charlie?
No,
Yep.
it's Sexy Red.
Okay.
I listened to so much Sexy Red this year. I love
Nice.
it. She's amazing.
Miss
And she was on
NXT.
and she was on NXT, and everybody was like, "Who is this person?" She's just insane. Her voice is really grating, but I kind of am enamored by it. She's pretty wild.
Yeah, she fits the wrestling world pretty well.
It's fun. Yeah.
Dev, where'd you go?
Chapel.
Yeah.
I think there's probably like 3, 4, 5 female artists that you can't go wrong by picking any of them this year.
Yeah, and I went with the other one. I went with Sabrina Carpenter.
Yeah.
Who I just thought had a phenomenal year. Biggest music story, Devan.
Kendrick Drake.
Kendrick Drake, yeah.
I don't know if it was
really good.
it didn't I don't think it necessarily lasted very long, like in terms of our public consciousness, but it definitely had the highest peak of engagement for like 3 weeks.
Specifically when Kendrick came back and did the concert and played Not Like Us like 7 times.
Yeah.
It was nuts. And then when he got the Super Bowl and then the stuff now with Drake suing him, it kind of every month when it would die down, it would kind of carry on. My story was the Eras tour, just the stuff with the Ticketmaster side of things from it, but just to have a tour that long and that emotional for people. And I think everyone knows at least 1 to 2 people that went to this tour. And even people that went to it like, look, I'm not a Taylor Swift fan, but ... This was like one of the best concerts I've ever been to. And it really hit the level of how is someone going to follow that up with their next tour that they do. Would you go with Adam?
Wasn't it like an 18-month tour?
Mm-hmm.
Like insane. That's wild. I went with Brat Summer.
Yeah, Brett Summer's another good one. These are all the great
Brat
ones.
Summer was huge. Still going. Brat Autumn.
Video game performance. There wasn't as many that stuck out this year. I went with Troy Baker with his best Harrison Ford impression in Indiana Jones.
Yeah, it might be that by default because we didn't have any we didn't have any God of War. We didn't have like a lot of. We didn't have the AAA games that are centered around like a third-person action character.
No.
So you might win by default.
Yeah, Adam, did you have anyone else different?
I didn't have anything for this.
Yeah,
but
okay.
I was thinking about it as like somebody playing a video game, like the
No, it's an acting.
And could it have maybe been Logan Paul entering the Tetris tournament and actually winning something?
No, but that's a good callback. Devan, game of the year.
Jeez, the moment this hits $40, I'm buying it.
Okay.
Astrobot.
Yeah, I had the same. It's Astrobot.
Yeah, Astrobot. Yeah.
I bought it on Black Friday and I just started playing it this week, and that's my pick also.
Yeah. First week.
It's so fun. I've only put in like an hour and a bit, but it's great.
Well, it just goes to show it kind of like my my rant about nerd culture appealing to adults. Like the pathway for success in video games is so well laid out, and we see it over and over and over and over again. What makes money and what makes people happy. And it's almost like a lot of these game companies, and I'm not necessarily talking about Sony here, but I'm talking just in general, go away from that formula to convince us that we need microtransactions and we need customization, blah, blah, blah. When in reality, like just a solid, fun, like literally making gaming fun again would just make people billions of dollars. But they just refuse to do it.
Mm-hmm. And Sony finally finding their mascot, right? It's been years, right? We had it for Crash for a little bit, but then that faded. And then they tried to make it Sackboy, and it never really hit.
For a minute.
Spyro, like it never really hit. Dax and Dexter never really hit. And now they kind of have their
extension of Sackboy a little bit.
A little bit. Yeah.
Yeah. If it needs a multiplayer, it could do with a multiplayer.
They could do, yeah. Console of the year, I said PS5. Dev?
Really, I was actually gonna go kind of the opposite. I think.
What'd you go with?
I think I might just go with PC just out of default. I bought my
Fair
first
enough.
game on Steam like a couple weeks ago, but I'm just like the Switch is not really a console we're going to talk about anymore. Xbox is not the same because they're clearly moving away to have Game Pass on every other PC connected device you've ever thought of, and PlayStation is just has a down year in terms of like must buys, minus Shadow of the Erd Tree, minus Astro, and then maybe Black Myth Wukong and Helldivers. Like those are all huge games, but like they didn't really speak to like they're not the level of Last of Us. They're not the level of whatever else, God of War. So
Yeah. Adam, where'd you go?
Yeah, PS5. A bunch of my Switch controllers broke, so I barely played it this year. So it's PS5.
On that front, when you talked about biggest gaming story, I went Xbox and everything. I think it's kind of changed the way that we think about that we're going to be thinking about gaming. And we talked about this new approach that Xbox and having all the rumors swirling around with Xbox. Could Halo be on PlayStation? Is Gears of War going to be on PlayStation? Could Xbox Game Pass be part of PlayStation or Nintendo in the future? You and I had how many pods talking about this, Dev? Like this was a centered story about what Microsoft was shifting to, where there'll be a next Xbox console, and now this, the even on my smart TV now, it just says Xbox and everything. So you can buy a $40 Fire Stick and get a controller, and you have an Xbox, and that seems to be maybe the shift of where we're going to go. Will there be a PS6? I think so. Will there be another Xbox? I don't know.
yeah, it's tough. I think what we're going to more likely see is Xbox internals in a TV to handle direct downloads, and so we're not streaming. Like that's going to be one of my biggest criticisms of console-less gaming through TVs is just the connectivity aspect and me getting a great experience out of it. I alluded to it already, but my biggest gaming story, and I haven't picked one in particular, but it's gaming failures this year. The industry has gone all in over and over and over again, whether it be the King Kong game, Concord. Like I don't know why every year going forward, we're having more and more worst games of all time. The worst games of all time list was like this unique collection of things over 30 or 40 years. But now we can make a list basically solely on games released this year that were touted as being big games. So why is this happening at an alarming rate? Well, the consumer is like fighting back.
Yeah, that's a great one. Adam?
I got nothing here. Maybe the gaming story is me not being interested in much that's happening in the gaming world this year.
Well, it's weird. It's weird that it's a really good year for games as a whole, but it's not a great year for like maximum consumer engagement because we're all waiting for Grand Theft Auto 6. There's not that one game that has been bought by 100 million people like Red Dead Redemption 2 or whatever.
Yeah, even at the Game Awards this year, there was games, but like none of them are like we don't know when The Witcher. I don't even think The Witcher was confirmed for 2025, was it?
No, I don't think they gave a date.
So The Witcher wasn't confirmed, and the new Naughty Dog game wasn't confirmed, and we're going to get to our anticipated list in a few weeks here. I don't think I can put GTA 6 on it because I don't think it's coming out next year.
The devs don't think it's
coming out. The devs don't think it's coming out, and like maybe the Switch 2 comes out next year. I think a lot of stuff is just going to get pushed to 2026 because it seems like Nintendo's like, we can maybe push this a little bit more.
We can just redo Mario Party, like an old Mario Party, and make $1 billion.
They literally did that.
Yeah.
Best movie fiction, Adam.
We're talking genre movies, right?
Yeah.
Okay. This is where it gets talked about because I think I'm going to go a different direction. But this is The Substance.
Oh, okay. I went down in a different category.
You put that in horror, I assume.
Yeah.
I'm going to go something else there. But The Substance was not a perfect film. I'm surprised it's getting so much love for the screenplay, to be honest, because it's a little bit kind of plain. But I just love... I'm always down for a body horror film. And I love a film... I love watching a film like this and being like, oh, I wonder if they'll like do this. And then they do it. and Substance just keeps doing that. And when you think it's going to end, it just goes a little bit further. And I think it's just so good because it like just keeps pushing. And it's just like a studio would have been like, oh, let's cut this off like 20 minutes early because we don't want to show this next part because it might not look good. And Coralie's just like, no, fuck it. We're going all the way to the end. It's so fun to watch. And I think body horror is in the hands of French women right now, and they're all killing it. So fantastic.
This movie, I have not had a movie fuck with my mind for days like The Substance has. It is such a man. I hope this gets nominated for an Oscar. I hope Margaret gets nominated. I hope that Demi gets nominated. I have this in horror, so I'll just save it. I can just get to it when we just pass it on horror. But it is such a mind thinking movie, and body horror, like you said, is in a great market that it is. And Dennis Quaid, that role was supposed to be Ray Liotta, and he would have killed it. But then I almost just can't picture anyone but Dennis Quaid in that role.
Yeah, I don't think I think the Academy is too scared. I don't think they'll ever nominate it. It might get for like Best Picture, but it might get. While I said the screenplay is maybe a little weak, I think it'll just get thrown a bone in the screenplay category just because, which is kind of lame. And we're gonna maybe I'm going off on a tangent here, but I think we're ending in a weird situation of the year where all the top films are directed by men this year, according to the Oscars. But a lot of the genre films are directed by amazing women.
Yeah.
And genre is not acceptable to the Oscars, right?
Yeah.
So it's going to be a weird year when it comes to that.
Dev, where did you go for this?
Mad Max.
That's what I did, baby.
And it's just such a shame that these two films, like back to back, are just kind of going to be relegated to cult status.
Yeah.
They're totally different in terms of what they're trying to accomplish, but as a continuation and to Mad Max, just really enjoyable. And goddamn, that one dude is so handsome. Like I got all my stock in him, but I can't remember his name right now.
I picked Mad Max as well. This movie is just
a handsome guy.
Awesome.
Like
sometimes oh yeah. The kind of the proxy Mad Max in this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Praetorian Jack. Tom Burke.
Just everything about this is so kick-ass. I love it.
Yeah.
It was great.
It was
sad going to the cinema and two other people in the theater watching.
Yeah, I think
when you told me that
like
really
4
pissed me
people in
off.
mine. Yeah.
Pissed me off, number one, because I have it in the box office draft. And it pissed me off because this is a really well done. This could be one of the last movies that George Miller does. So it's you got to appreciate that as much as you can. And unfortunately, audiences didn't come out as much. And it's such a phenomenal movie, and it won't get talked about. It wasn't nominated for any Globes, and it won't get talked about during the Oscars as well.
Maybe some visual stuff. Sound.
Yeah. Adam, comedy.
I had a lot this year. But I think just so I can get a couple in here, I think this is where I'm going to put Anora. Anora is a full-on comedy. It's a full-on Three Stooges, like vaudeville slapstick comedy, which is kind of insane to think about it. It's so funny, like throughout the whole thing. And then it's just I know neither of you have seen it, but then it's just like an emotional gut punch right at the end. Literally in the last like minutes. And it's just like it toes that line really well. Of the comedy, Sean Baker's amazing at writing and casting and putting everything together. I also had a couple other ones. Kneecap is really cool. The Irish film is so funny. I saw that 3 times this year. It's amazing. And Pamela Adlon's Babes was really funny too.
Nice.
But Anora it's got to win some Oscars, I think. So
Vegas right now has it as the favorite right now.
Yeah.
Dev, where are you going for comedy?
I only saw one comedic movie, so I have to nominate it, and I don't want to, but I have to because that's the rules. It's
Ricky
Deadpool.
Stenicki.
Yeah, I didn't even see
Ricky
Ricky Stenicki. I didn't even see it. So it's Deadpool, but I begrudgingly nominate it.
I picked Wicked, comedy musical. There's lots of comedy aspects to this. Horror, I already talked about it with Adam the Substance. Where'd you go for horror, Adam? Terrifier?
Not Terrifier. No, Terrifier is not that good of a movie. It's fun and it's great effects, but it's not that good of a movie. I saw the TV Glow. The TV Glow is amazing. I watched it at the premiere at Cuff, and I was like, at the end, I was like kind of lukewarm on it. And we went across the street and talked about it with friends for like an hour, and it just turned me full around of like what they were trying to do with this film, what they were trying to build to. Have either of you seen it?
No.
It's like there's a show called The Pink Opaque, and it's basically Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Yeah.
And these two autistic kids become friends because they watch this show and they love it. And then one of them disappears into the ether, and the other one grows up and then starts revisiting this show and finding out how cheesy and shitty and weird it was, just like how you would watch Buffy now.
Yeah.
And it's about like gender identity. It's about nostalgia. It's about all these things. It's taking inspirations from like David Lynch and weird stuff like that, but it's making it its own thing. It's so good. It's so interesting. And Fred Durst is in it also. So
He's in everything.
Connor O'Malley. Fred Durst and Connor O'Malley both in it.
Dev, did you do horror?
Yeah, kind of the same thing with comedy. I kind of got shoehorned. It's Alien Romulus.
Nice.
It's not perfect, but it was a lot of fun for, I'd say 7/8 of it was really fun.
I will come back to you for drama, Dev.
Okay. Finally, I get to talk about it. Dune 2. Just kidding.
There you go.
Yeah, Dune 2.
Nice. Yeah, it's a pretty good pick there for drama. This was a tough one for me. I went with Love Lies Bleeding. You could put this in a comedy as well, technically.
I had that as a backup for genre.
Yeah, you could put it into, but this movie is just, it sucks when, awards come up. This was female led too, wasn't it, Adam?
Rose Glass.
Yeah, it's really unfortunate. Like the direction in this was really phenomenal. This movie really, Nick recommended this to me. It really hit me hard. It's one of my favorite A24 movies I've ever seen. I thought the performances all around were really, really good. Yeah, I don't really know what else to say. Just really one of the best movies I got a chance to see this year. I'm really happy with everything that I got to see with it. Just excellent performances, excellent storytelling all around.
Yeah, Ed Harris with hair.
Yeah, Harris with hair.
Whoa.
Yeah. Spoiler alert. Sorry, Dev. Yeah, Love Lies Bleeding is so good. Rose Glass's first film was called Saint Maud. Yeah. And it was like, okay. It was just kind of like, to Dev's point earlier, it's like it's a 90-minute movie that's really just about the 20-minute ending.
Yeah.
You should have just made it short. But this one is a lot more realized and fully brought together. And yeah, all the performances are great. It's so good. It is kind of body horror too.
It's body horror too. And if Ariana Grande didn't give the performance she did, the supporting in this, I would have given it to her as breakout because she was
Katie O'Brien.
Awesome. Yeah, she was. Holy crap, she was awesome.
She's great. Yeah, she's gonna be in the new Running Man.
Yes. So she's perfect for that role.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, Adam.
We're in drama.
Yeah.
This is where there's one film that I think coming out this year, but technically next year, that could bump off. And I think it would be The Brutalist. I'm really excited to see this film. It's got to be this. If Anora's the front runner, it's got to be the backup.
It's second right now. It's Anora, Brutalist, and Wicked are the top 3 on Vegas right now.
Yeah, Brady Corbett just made this like insanely massive epic film on like an antiquated 70mm film stock about architecture, about Jewish immigrants. about all the American dream, and it looks amazing. So I can't wait to see that. But I went with, because I haven't seen that, I had to go with something else. I went with Conclave, which blew
Wow.
me away. I talked
Nice.
about it a little bit before, but yeah, Conclave. I think about it. I'm still thinking about it like weeks after seeing it, and I've seen a lot of garbage Christmas movies in between. So
Yeah, there's been a lot of bad Christmas movies. What happened to the good Christmas movie, man?
hey, I watched It's a Wonderful Knife today. It's actually so good.
Okay.
It's Justin Long. It's like it's basically a mystery Scream style slasher, but set at Christmas with
Nice.
a little time travel thing. It's really good.
All right, we're getting down to the nitty gritty here. TV actor, I'll go here. I picked Hikaru Sanada from Shogun. Obviously, he's been phenomenal in so many things. He was in Scorpion, and he's been in a lot of other things. But this role, he was just perfect.
Yabushige, the
Yeah,
man.
the Shabashige. He was one of the best protagonists that we've written. There's so many actors you could have picked from this, but he stood out among everyone else in Shogun. Dev?
I picked Hiroyuki Sanada.
Yeah.
Just because it's about him. But
It's about him, yeah.
Yeah, Yabushige is the best supporting character I think I've seen in a really long time. He's kind of like on the Mount Rushmore of supporting characters who could have got their own show.
Yeah. Where'd you go, Adam?
I went with Colin Farrell.
Great pick.
That's a great. That's my backup.
It's full on, yeah.
It's amazing. It's literally incredible what he did with that character, and to make it not gimmicky, I think was such a great feeling. Like, because this show could have been so bad.
Yeah, and the makeup does a lot, right? The makeup does a lot, and a lot of actors would maybe hide behind it a bit. But like, we watched 2 episodes, I think, me and my wife, and Colin Farrell's name, I think she looked it up on IMDb, and it was like Colin Farrell's in it, and she's like, "Oh, when does he show up?" And I was like, "He's the Penguin." She was like, "No." She like didn't believe me. She was like, "This is not him." And I think he leans into that a lot, and he gets to do something that he's never been able to do, which is really cool.
He's been on a heater the last few years, and I think he's had his ups and downs, as we all know. I think his current trajectory really kind of started with The Gentleman. He did such a great job in that film.
Yeah.
And now he's kind of we're really seeing like the fruits of like someone who's like kind of conquered their personal lives and now just gets to like be at their best.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Because Hanada won Best Dramatic Actor at the Emmys this year, and whatever they put Farrell into, if they decide to go drama or limited series, it doesn't matter.
Just give it to him. Yeah.
He's winning it. Adam, Best Movie Actor.
Yeah, I had 2 here. One was maybe gonna be Sebastian Stan.
In what though?
Yeah, he had 2 films. Different Man I just watched the other day. It's pretty good, and he's good in it. But as Donald Trump, I think he's like insane. His role is insane. I think Donald Trump losing the election or winning the election has kind of like killed the film essentially. Like nobody wants to touch it, nobody wants to look at it.
Yeah,
which is kind of sad because it lives on its own. It should live outside this whole thing because it's a really interesting take. But I went with a supporting actor, Best Actor of the Year, his first major acting role, and it's the former inmate Clarence Martin in the film Sing Sing.
Nice. I've heard good things about Sing Sing.
So it's about a theater group, a program that happens in what's the penitentiary off New York? Rikers.
Yeah.
So in Rikers, they have a theater group, and inmates can join and be a part of it and put on plays and stuff. And they have such a high reform rating or whatever. Like, there's no return inmates after they go through this program. And he's an actor from that program who comes back and plays a character in the film about this program.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like you'll see if you see it or when you watch the film, like he's just a standout for sure. Like he's got a look that feels real, and he just like lays it all out. It's awesome.
Nice. Dev?
I respectfully pass only because the movies that I did see, them being all really big Hollywood ones, were basically all established people.
Mhm.
I didn't feel like it was fair to give it to like Ryan Reynolds or what or
Hugh Jackman? Hugh Jackman's pretty good in that movie.
no, I think he actually I think of all the Hugh Jackman movies I've seen, which admittedly is not very many, I think that was his best acting ever.
Yeah.
But I just don't feel comfortable giving it to like I haven't seen any of these Oscar movies yet. I haven't had the time to, but when I do, I'm gonna look at it through this lens, and I'll probably agree with a lot of what Adam has to say.
There's a lot of good performances. I feel kind of like we have in music. It's a lot of female strong performances more than male performances this year. I just saw Heretic. Hugh Grant. That's my pick. He is.
I hear
That's one of the best Hugh Grant performances I've ever seen. He does such a good job of creepy, but also logic. If when you'll understand that more when you get a chance to see it, because you haven't seen Heretic yet, right, Adam?
No.
And he's nominated for the Globe. I hope he gets nominated for the Oscar because it's just an absolute brilliant performance by him. As far as everything that he lays down in Heretic, it's one of the more creepy, but again, logical and mind-bending performances I've ever seen from Hugh Grant.
Mm.
Yeah, I'm excited to see that one. I hear he's really good in it.
He's really good in that, and like, trust me, I did not think Hugh Grant was going to be my best movie actor at the end of the year, but he really blew me away with his performance. Best movie actress, Devan.
Same reason I gave above.
Okay. Adam?
I mean, I hear Cynthia's really good and Wicked. I haven't seen it yet. I really want to see The Last Showgirl. With
Yeah,
Pamela Anderson.
Pam. Yeah.
That sounds like that's got a shot at being a really great performance of the year. But same person that I put for Breakout. I'm gonna put Mikey Madison.
And I'm doing the same person I picked for Breakout. I'm picking Ariana Grande. Because I just Mikey, if I had seen Honora, maybe Mikey would have snuck in here, and I'm assuming once I've seen it, I will want to put her there. But Ariana is just unbelievable in Wicked.
A backup shout out to I can't remember her whole name, Carla, the trans actress from Emilia Perez.
Oh yeah,
is like outstanding.
I've heard that.
It's weird to call it a breakout because they're like a really big Spanish language soap opera star, I think.
Amazing.
Like telenovela type stuff. And this is kind of a big crossover. But they're like, if you haven't seen that film, you should check it out. Like the transformation that they go through in the film, just everything. Like her performance is so good. Zoe's pretty good too. Selena Gomez holds her own. It's like a full-on female. There's another woman. Like it's a quad female cast, but Carla's definitely the standout for me on that one.
Devan, I'll let you go here then. Your best TV actress.
Anna Sawai is also my breakout actress. Yeah,
that's mine as well.
I thought about was it Christina Milioti? Yeah, but it was a hard time just choosing between the two, but I think that's going to be everybody.
Yeah. Adam, where'd you go?
I just looked up what I did last year, and I didn't have this person up, so I'm going to put Ao Edebiri.
I like it.
In everything. Holy.
In everything.
Yeah. Whatever she's in, I'm down.
Anxiety, man, even. Great job as Anxiety. Dev, show of the year. Adam, I'll let you actually go first. What was your show of the year?
I put The Bear.
You put The Bear.
The Bear was great. The Bear was everything that I think you should have wanted it to be, but it seems everybody didn't want it to be that.
I think the one thing I would say about The Bear is I do question the binge for it. I do wonder if it would be better if it is the weekly episodes, so you can marinate more on those episodes week by week. Because I did find when I departed myself away from those episodes, I felt a lot better about them after. And then I did a rewatch, and then I enjoyed it even more the second time around. Didn't
Yeah.
enjoy it when I binged it the first time. So I do question them putting everything out, but they've insisted this is the way they want to tell their story. And if that's the way they want it, then I respect the film makers' preferences. But I do wonder if it would be better to not escalate it all at once and let people breathe with the great performances and storytelling that the Bear brings.
See, we didn't binge it. I specifically made a rule. I was
Same.
like, the most we'll watch is 2 at
That's
a
what I
time.
did. And they still, yeah.
And
Yeah,
just,
mine
but
was pretty slow too. It took me a while.
I think it took
because
us
I
like
wanted
2
to,
weeks.
them.
Yeah, I agree. But I think like even after like the birth episode was just like that was like a one and done. Like, okay, like we gotta do something else for a little while.
Yeah. Dev, where did you go for show of the year?
Shogun.
Yeah, me too.
Shogun of the year.
Shogun of the year. Adam, actually, we'll hold off for you for this one. Devin, where did you go for movie of the year?
Dune 2.
Dune 2. Nice. I went with Wicked. Wicked's my movie of the year.
Is it because it surprised you the most? Like, were you expecting? Did you have high expectations going into it?
I was growing higher expectations. Talk about a trailer that intrigued me because I didn't know much about it. But I think, again, Ariana and what you did in SNL, it impressed me. The trailer caught my curiosity really well. And then just as far as an overall musicals, and especially portraying Broadway to musical is really hard to do. You know, throughout the years, we haven't had as many successes as you think that we would. The success rate isn't great. For every Chicago and Les Mis is a Cats and other failures. Even Into the Woods didn't hit the way that they thought Into the Woods would hit, right? So I think what Wicked was able to do to take a Broadway interpretation that was, you know, one of the most famous, if not the most famous, some people would say, Broadway adaptations, and to have such a good movie come from it is a spectacle all in itself. And they did such a good job of taking that story, melding the songs, having a crescendo at the end, and wanting to come back for part. I think the only thing that's going to hold it back from the Oscar will be that it was part 1 to part 2. I think that's going to be a thing that a lot of Oscar voters, and we have so many good films this year. It was, you know, we had a writer's strike year, but Adam's talked about movies like The Brutalist and Sing Sing and Anora, Substance. There's been so many good movies when we were told there wouldn't be that many good movies because of the writer's strike. So going into this award season, Wicked's going to have a chance, but I do feel like it being a part 1 will hold it back. But for me, as far as what I've seen, and it's why I really wanted to see Anora, because I thought it was the one movie that could maybe switch my mind. But for what I had seen, it was the best that I seen overall.
There's something really satisfying when a really big, ambitious project that is really hype sticks the landing.
Yeah, and it stuck the landing. Adam, this is the more important one. Where do you have for movie?
Movie, the biggest movie of the year. So I'm gonna go off the beaten path quite a bit for this. It's a movie that is my favorite film of the year. It's a Canadian film, and not just my favorite Canadian film of the year. It's my favorite film of the year. I've seen it 3 times this year. I think twice in theaters. It's maybe the best Canadian film ever made.
Wow.
I'm going out on a limb.
Whoa.
And saying that. And no, Denis Villeneuve films do not count.
What about like Polytechnic?
Yeah, those
what about Strange Brew?
Yeah, it's better than Strange Brew. So it's a film called Universal Language. It premiered at Cannes in the Director's Fortnight. It's the first year they've ever given a prize for that category, and it won the prize. It's a second film from this filmmaker from Winnipeg named Matthew Rankin. It's a fictional Iranian version of Winnipeg where everyone speaks Farsi but also goes to French immersion school.
Oh,
crazy. Cool.
Real dollars, and everything, it's always cold, and it's such a unique style of film that he made. It's very Iranian in terms of its style. It's very Scandinavian in terms of its style. It's borrowing from some really famous international filmmakers. It's Canada's submission to the Oscars. It won the big prize at SIFF and TIFF.
Wow.
and Cannes, and it might have a chance of actually getting nominated. It was on the short list for a while as a
Did it win the Palm?
no, it didn't win the Palme d'Or. Honora won the
Who
Palme
won?
d'Or, but
Oh,
it's
no, no.
it's like a so there's a thing called Directors Fortnight that's like more up and coming filmmakers,
Yeah.
and they usually put films in, but they don't give a prize. But they did this year, and it won the prize. It's just so amazing. Oscilloscope is handling the distribution, so it will get a bit of a release earlier next year to get Oscar voters to try to get it in.
You can get to foreign.
Yeah, it's full. It's in Farsi, mixed with French. So it's foreign language. It's Canada's submission, so it could get into Best International Feature, and I hope it does because it's an amazing film. I just love it. It's hilarious. It's making fun of Canada, but also so endearing.
Mhm.
It's such a beautiful film. I love it.
Love it. So now we have to keep an eye on that. This is why I love it, because I think I Like Movies was one yours a year ago as well. Not last year, but 2 years ago. So
Canadian
these
cinema.
picks have
So
always been.
good.
You're seeing that
So
movie
good.
start to get a lot of gain. I've seen
Yeah.
a lot of stories about it on streaming, like streaming hidden gems, and I Like Movies was one of those films. So
Chandler Vac, the director, is making her second movie right now, and it's
Nice.
starring Barbie Ferreira.
Oh,
it's shot in Montreal this summer, so it's coming out
Nice.
probably next year.
nice. And then finally, the biggest story in pop culture this year. I'll go first really quick. I did the box office roller coaster. We had that lull with Furiosa and everything in May. No one goes to movies, and you and I had multiple pods of this, Dev, of like, well, do they need to synchronize with VOD, and do we need to have only big Marvel movies or big movies that like Star Wars and stuff like that? That's the only time when a movie in theater should matter. If not, everything should be with VOD. And then we rolled around to this fall, and movies like Venom are making 500 million. Wicked killed the box office. Gladiator killed the box office. And I believe coming into the holiday season here, Sonic and Mufasa are also going to kill them, and Mulan as well. But Sonic and Mufasa are obviously going to probably have good box office for the holidays as well.
Don't forget Craven.
Yeah, I think a lot of people forgot about Craven.
Never forget.
But yeah, it was a roller coaster for the box office this year, and that conversation came up again of when should VOD happen? Should it be simultaneous? How do you gain people to the box office? And it kind of, when we hit to the fall, for whatever reason, it all kind of been to naught. And then you get to see the full summer slate post writer strike of the movies coming out, and it's going to be a very healthy box office next summer, I believe.
Dang.
You said nobody goes to movies this year. I went to the cinema 65 times.
Yeah, but you're an anomaly.
You're the 1%.
You got to put, if you want these cinemas to stick around, if you want to see movies in the big theater, you got to go out and support them. That's what I always say.
It's 100% true.
It's
I might hit
100%
70. I'm going to go see Queer this week.
Nice.
I got a few before the end of the year, so I might pump those numbers.
What's your story of the year in pop culture, Adam?
One that I thought of, I'm gonna choose a different one, but popcorn buckets.
That's a great one. I love that.
But then I went to Moana, and they had a Moana one, and I was like, it's gone, it's over.
That's a great one though.
The Dune one was good, and then the Deadpool one was pretty funny, and then even the Gladiator one. But then it's kind of jumped the shark.
Was the Gladiator one just the Coliseum?
Yeah,
but it was like augmented reality. You could like use your phone and like see something in the thing.
Yeah.
But mine was similar to yours, Josh. But mine was more the indie box office success of 2024. We had Longlegs, I think it was the biggest indie box office ever. It was Neon's biggest box office ever. It was over $100 million on like a $10 million budget. Civil War was A24's biggest box office. We Live in Time was huge. Honora did really well. Conclave did crazy well. And then Terrifier, somebody coming in with no studio representation and just like a company that just kind of started and put their film out, did a weird marketing campaign where they just made all these videos of Art the Clown going to Spirit Halloweens and scaring people. As that's your marketing campaign. and word of mouth, and I think it made like 50 million. Did it make
Yeah.
more?
It made
It's
more
crazy.
than
So,
that.
so indie is really making the box office hit right now.
Yeah.
When you're doing, and we talked about this before a lot on the podcast, like when you're making a $300 million movie, there's nothing but failure, right? It has to be $1 billion movie to be successful. But if you're doing 30 $10 million movies, you can take some failures there, but then when it hits and it hits well, you can do just fine that way.
Dev, round us out.
Dang. It has to be, for me, the intersection of pop culture and the election. Never before, I don't think, have we seen anything, the engagement quite like we got over the last year, few months, whatever you want to talk about. And will this be the norm going forward? I have no idea, but we definitely got, like, suddenly everyone became interested in rallies because of who might show up, not because of the person, the candidate, or the talking points.
We also found that both endorsements mean everything and endorsements mean nothing. You could point to the Joe Rogan podcast being a pivotal part for Trump and the gain success that Rogan podcast had. Whereas when Taylor put her nomination behind Kamala, everyone thought that was going to be a game changer for her to have Kamala, and she had Beyonce come out and other celebrities come out to her rallies, and it didn't make a factor the way that I did, and others thought that it would make a factor. So it was a real interesting dichotomy of, do celebrity endorsements matter? Well, the Rogan one mattered, but other ones didn't, and it was very interesting.
Yeah,
Lil Jon performing at the DNC was not on my bingo card.
No,
is insane. Just like blasting Turn Down for What with all these like geriatric like oh god, it was so bad. It was so weird. What a weird, like, we've become idiocracy.
Yeah. Yep.
That moment there was when I was like, it's like, when are we getting like Donald Trump Mountain Dew smackdown for president?
Oh, I'm sure it's coming. I'm sure it's coming. So that'll do it for us for the best of. Thank you to Adam and Devan. It's one of my favorite pods of the year, like I said, and it's been a joy to have it. Coming up next, you can find our worst of the year, which is always fun, ripping things apart. So that's coming up next, the worst of pop culture. So check that out. Until then, cheers and enjoy the day, people.
Thank you for listening to the Fresh Take Network. Follow us on social media platforms at Fresh Take 42.